Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Today is New Year's Eve. I just wanted to come to you today to talk about data collection methods. This video is mostly geared towards graduate students or maybe CFs. We all know the basics, and that's learned back in undergrad or in prerequisite courses if you don't have your undergrad in speech language pathology. And a lot of times you're taught how to, keep your tallies, keep your data, pencil and paper. And of course, if you're in a school setting where you may have groups of like up to 5 students, 3 students, what have you, there are a lot of resources out there where you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I personally like using stickies if I have 1 or 2 students. And any more than that, I would use a sheet that I had found from one of the books that Super Duper Inc. Put out. And it would have 5 spaces, for the names of the children. And I could write in quickly what objective we were focusing on for that day and keep their data. And that way, at the end of the day or whenever I got a chance to put the data into the state's online data tracker, I had my data ready to go. I'm specifically here to talk about data collection methods with unconventional therapy. Like if you're doing a cooking group or a language group where there's an entire class participating, you may be focusing just on the students on your caseload. But what if, all 5 students on your caseload, you are trying to work with each one, especially if each child has a different method of communication. 2 may have assistive technology. They may or may not have additional therapy staff or educational staff to help. You're also trying to implement aided language stimulation, but you still have to keep track of the data. You can still reach down and try to keep some tally marks, but this is where you're going to have to think outside of the box. I know a lot of universities teach, the basic pencil paper method of keeping data. If you're using telepractice, your platform may have, the X for, okay, this particular trial was incorrect, check mark, this is correct, which is easy. But what if you're dealing with various methods of communication and this is a cooking activity, but you wish to keep data as well? That's where you can do things such as if a child has a behavior system where they're able to have a token board. The token board may have spaces for 5 trials or 5 correct responses or 5 times when that child is being compliant. You can use that also. And you should be integrating behavioral methods into your therapy as well. But you can also use that to track data. I remember a situation where I had a student who also had an educational helper with him, and I would use his token board every time he, was able to use his communication system to communicate as opposed to using self-abusive behaviors. He would receive that token. In order to keep track of the incorrect responses, I would use magnets that were on the side of a file cabinet. So there are a lot of different ways you can do this. Super Duper has the token collection methods. I think one was they have a set where there's a little puppy dog and little animals that the students can choose. You feed your dog a bone every time you got the correct response, so on and so forth. You can use stickers. There are children who love stickers, but there are unconventional ways of things that you can do to keep track of your data, especially when you're with students who aren't typically developing students who will sit there. If you have a student who's getting up, running around, this may be a bad day for that child. You have to think about whether or not you want to collect data this day, or if you have to document not able to collect data due to behavioral issues. There are a lot of different things that you may see when you are outside of your school's clinic. And I've even had a graduate student who became frightened because she had never seen a child jump up and bolt out of his seat. And I did have additional educational staff with me, but this frightened her. And she was boggled at how I was still able to work with this child. The child would get up and bolt because he wanted to get somewhere. And we were teaching him his communication system so that he could say, I want water, instead of just bolting, because when he would bolt, sometimes he would run into another student or, trip over something. And this was for his safety. So there are a lot of different things you will see, and that's why I wanted to come on today to talk about various data collection methods that are not conventional. So yes, you can keep your tally marks, but if you need to use magnets, if you need to use token boards, if you need to create your own token board for each student, do so. That way you're able to collect the data and your quality of service will remain at a high level. You still want to implement aided language stimulation if this is a student using AAC or assistive technology for communication, regardless of the child's behavior, whether they're verbal or not, whether there are 5 adults in the room with you or not. You still want to be able to keep data and not have to take away from the therapy session because, I have to write this in my book. Okay. You can also videotape with parent permission, parent and staff permission. I've had to ask parents, will you allow me to videotape your child for these next few sessions? And the parents will sign giving permission for such. So there are a lot of ways that you can do this. We videotape for evaluations, asking for parent permission and family permission, and you can do the same with therapy if you need to. So that is all that I have to offer for today's topic of various data collection methods. And I hope you all have a wonderful, prosperous, blessed new year. I know this has been a hard year for a lot of us, but I am praying for more abundance and blessings for you all in your careers and with your families. Thank you so much. Bye.